differently.
Welcome back, and you're watching Abled Differently. Jonathan Metet is not a new name in disability advocacy. As a parent, he is using social media to ensure that persons with disabilities and their caregivers get the assistance they need whenever they call for help. Take a look.
Jonathan Metet, together with his wife, had made several visits to different hospitals with the hope of getting their daughter treated. But in the process of seeking treatment, their daughter lost her hearing.
So we went to different places, hospitals and different specialists in Mombasa and even here in Nairobi. But later on it was diagnosed that there was a loss of hearing. So the doctor advised that we take our daughter to regular school, but she sits in front of a class.
Since 2014, Metet has become a champion for disability awareness. This is due to the challenges he faced as a parent of a child with disability, especially when trying to find a school for his daughter.
So we took her to regular schools, two in Bomet and two in Kilifi. But during that time when we were taking her to school with a letter from the doctor, we faced a lot of challenges. She was being rejected because of disability. So that is what actually inspired me now to start advocating for persons with disabilities, but not only for the deaf or hearing impaired, all categories of disabilities.
Blessy Chepkirui Metet is the main reason why her parents got to learn sign language. This was necessary for ease of communication among them.
My wife actually was the first one to take up the course on sign language. It was offered at one university, so she went and did the sign language. In fact, the teachers who were teaching are actually the teachers for my daughter in a school, Kibaran School for the Deaf. So she learned the sign certificate in sign language and she completed. So now she is really very experienced on sign language. So that is the step she took, and then at least she can communicate well. Before that, normally these are normal signs that we normally use, like this one come. So they are mostly maybe this one. So most of them are the signs that we normally use. So now we had started using those ones, and then also lip reading. So when you say something, she follows, and then she'll be able to respond. And then at times maybe you need to write for her something. Maybe she's going to shop. If you want a bread, you write a bread, one bread. You give her money. You go fix a bread from the shop. So before we could learn the sign language, you're using the normal signs that we normally use.
Of all the challenges the family has encountered, communication barrier tops them all, with every interaction at many institutions proving difficult due to the lack of sign language interpreters, as well as the expenses that comes with the service.
If you can't communicate with her properly or him, then you will not be able to understand. Maybe if she has a problem, you can't tell whether she's okay or not if you don't know the sign language. And then another thing is maybe when she goes to hospital, when the doctor doesn't understand or the nurse the sign language, is really very difficult maybe to do the diagnosis which is appropriate, unless she's accompanied with a sign language interpreter, which maybe it is very expensive. Maybe per session is maybe 2,500. My daughter is in St. Angela Mumias, Western Kenya. So I have to travel all the way with her to school, to take her to school, because the driver, the conductor, the customer care people from the bus companies doesn't understand the sign language. So she has to travel all the way. We have to travel with her all the way to school, then back.
Metet has been a champion for disability rights over the years, and he advocates for disability awareness and sensitization, as well as registration for persons with disabilities, among many other issues.
I sensitize them to go for educational assessment so that their children can be placed in appropriate school. And then another thing also is on the assistive devices. There are those who contact me across the country, they require a wheelchair. So what I normally do is to share the information. I normally share it on my wall. And then I have a team, PWD ambassadors team based in Nakuru. We have Madam Rani Ramchandani, who normally assists PWDs with assistive devices. She has actually distributed free wheelchairs across the country over not less than 1,200, including their maybe crutches and mostly wheelchairs. At times I contact the National Council for Persons with Disability. That is when I advise somebody now to apply for an assistive device, maybe a wheelchair or any other item that he or she requires.
Blessy was born hearing, but as a result of an infection that was caused by adenoids, doctors' efforts to help her recover fully were futile.
She was not born deaf, but it is because of illness. So the problem she had, she was sickly almost twice a week. The temperature was rising to almost 40. So we have to rush to hospital each and every time. When you go to hospital, they check, they say nothing. Even after checking all the specimens, they would tell you that there is nothing, but the child is sick. So when there is no malaria, there is no, they just give maybe a quinine that time, that is 203, going up to 205, 06 there. So we used to go to hospital, but they can't identify what. We even went to Post General, the 10 Post General Hospital, provincial hospital in Mombasa. They did all the tests, but they say there is nothing. And then apart from that illness, our doctor also really took time to walk. They've been walking and standing. So it took the efforts of the physiotherapy department at Coast General to do those therapy sessions. That is when now she started walking and running. She was really very thin. She could not eat. She was only depending a lot on water.
Blessy has no doubt made her parents proud through her participation in different activities that have seen her get to the national level.
She was born in 2003, so she is currently 19 years old. She is a student at St. Angela Mumias, vocational secondary for deaf girls. And now, when she was in primary school, St. Kisito Little School for the Deaf, despite the challenges she faced at an early age, she is now the best in dancing. She does instrumentals, she does drama and music, and ball games like volleyball and netball.
Metet calls upon fellow parents to come out and show support for their children.
We need to embrace, after accepting the situation the way it is, because we should not be in denial forever. If we stay in denial, that child will not get any assistance. So the only thing is to accept, to move on and to embrace, and to expose these children to opportunities outside there. So that is when now they'll be able to get maybe assistance from the state agency like National Council for Persons with Disabilities after registration.
Let's take a look at the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities.
Article 25 of the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities states that state parties shall, Part B, provide those health services needed by persons with disabilities, specifically because of their disabilities, including early identification and intervention as appropriate, and services designed to minimize and prevent further disabilities, including among children and older persons.
And here is the tip for the day.
Advocacy is having intentional meetings with the actual parents and saying, what is your experience? When your neighbors call the police or call the chief on you and say you've left your child, why did you do it? We are so quick to judge that mother or that father. But have we ever thought that they don't have another option? That's the only option that they had. And they're not neglecting their child. It's because for me to be able to feed my child, I've got to work. And for me to go to work, I've got to lock her in the house. I can't leave the house open because, of course, there are other things that come with that, you know. So for me, advocacy will begin with us as people who are able, okay, and we have no issues, having conversations with the actual parents.
I'm afraid that's where we come to the end of the program for today, but be sure to join us every other Sunday when time and space allows. I've been your host, Jane Theuri. Goodbye.
We are here and we are strong. Let's be counted as we move on. Make a difference, change lives as we tell our different stories. We are capable, beautiful. We are born to do great things. We're unstoppable, incredible, 'cause we're differently abled, differently.